Hello everyone, welcome back to the Python and Pandas tutorial series. In this video, we will start with another object-oriented programming concept in Python, that is polymorphism. So simply saying polymorphism means having many forms. So it is actually a term derived from Greek which means many forms. It allows objects of different classes to be treated as objects of a common base class. Means there is a common behavior in a class and we will be using that common behavior for different classes, allowing to implement their own versions of that. And polymorphism is a fundamental concept in programming that allows entities like functions, methods, or operators to behave differently based on the type of data they are handling with. Polymorphism allows us to write more general and reusable code without worrying about specific class of an object. So to understand this better, imagine if you are designing a drawing application where different shapes like circle, square, triangle need to be implemented by a single function called draw. So you will be having this draw function in all the classes like circle class, square class, and triangle class, and so on. And each of these shapes has their own unique way of drawing. But as the programmer, you don't need to worry about that, and you can call the draw function on any shape object without worrying about which shape it belongs to. And based on the object we use to call the draw method, the respective shape will be considered. And let us see some real life example to understand polymorphism better. Consider there is a single word run, and we will be considering this as a function or method, right? So there is a word run, and when we are talking about a person class or a person, we say a person can run. And when we talk about run with a class car, when we are talking about running a car means a car runs on fuel. And we are talking about a computer program, then we say that for executing a program, a computer program runs when it is executed. So even though the action run is the same, the way it is executed depends on the context. So this is actually polymorphism. And in this video, we will start with writing some basic example of polymorphism in Python. We will see what is compile time polymorphism, which is not directly supported in Python, but we will just see what it is and what is runtime polymorphism. And we will cover method overriding. It is runtime polymorphism, and we learn why the method overriding is actually called runtime polymorphism. Let us open our Visual Studio Code and create a new file called polymorphismdemo.py. And we will try to understand how polymorphism is being exhibited with Python's inbuilt functions also. For example, if you have a string or some message and it has the value hello, and you also have another variable which is a list of some numbers like num equal to we have 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40. So Python has some inbuilt function called length. So if we want to find the length of the variable or length of the value inside the variable message, we can use the length function. And similarly, you can use this length function on nums as well. And if you see printing this, print length of message, similarly print length of numbers, you will see the right outputs accordingly. If you clear the console and try to execute this by polymorphism Python polymorphism demo, you are seeing there are 5 characters in message and there are 4 elements in nums. The thing to understand here or observe here is these two are not of same data type, and these two are different in behavior. So this is a sequence of characters and this is some collection of some elements, right? So there are numbers in this, but we have the function with same name and it is acting on both of those items, whether it is a string or a list, and we are able to identify the length of that. Means here length is taking two forms. One form is to calculate the number of characters from a given string, and another form calculating the number of elements in a given list. So this is how polymorphism actually works. We will be having same name, but how that works may be different. We will understand that more when we talk about method overriding, operator overriding, everything. And before jumping into method overriding, let us understand the concept of polymorphism in compile time and runtime. So we do have two concepts. One is compile time polymorphism, so that when we have multiple methods with same name, what name or what version of method to be binded is known in the compile time itself. If we know in the compile time itself, then we call that as compile time polymorphism. Whereas when the actual version of the method to be executed is decided at the runtime, then it is termed as runtime polymorphism. And Python does not support the compile time polymorphism directly. It is, we can say, we have that capability, but it is limited in Python, and the way how we achieve that is different. If you are from Java or C Sharp or C++ background, you know you have some concept of writing multiple methods with different number of parameters or different data types of parameters in the same class. For example, if you have a class called maybe sample, and in this if you define a function show which accepts no parameters except the self and print hello, and if this is the case with Java or C Sharp, then what happens is you can have one more parameter over here to the same function. Instead of show, I will take this as greet, and it will accept a parameter, maybe name, and we will prepare a formatted string and hello comma name. So this is valid in Java, and whenever we create an object for sample and we call greet, what it does is we can call greet either with no parameters, no arguments passed, or with one argument passed. So if you run this, comment out this part, you see we got error because it is saying missing one required positional argument name. See, it is expecting one argument which is name, and we did not provide that while calling the greet method, because Python always takes the latest definition of any method. Because we have one parameter in the latest definition of greet method, we have to provide some value over here. Only then that version will be picked up. Now we can see hello Raja is executed. But if this is the case with Java or C Sharp, we will be calling that in the two forms, so that when this is encountered, hello Raja will be printed on the console, and when this function is encountered or executed, just hello will be printed. Got it. And we will see how we can achieve this kind of scenario in Python as well in next video. But for now, we will just understand this is compile time polymorphism, where Java or C Sharp compilers know what version it is to be binded when we are writing the code itself, based on the number of parameters or based on the data type of parameters that are being used while calling the method. And now coming to runtime polymorphism, we have method overriding in Python that is actually called a runtime polymorphism. So method overriding allows when you have two classes, one is parent class and child class, which is inherited from the parent, as we have seen in the earlier video, and we already have a method in parent class, and we want to use the same method with the same name in the child class as well, but I should have a different behavior in child class. So we have seen when we created an object to the child class and called the method without writing that in child class, it executed and it brought up the behavior from the parent class. If you remember that when we call a method from parent using the object of child, we have seen the print statements which we have written in the parent class are executed. So now my requirement is I should have the same method in child class as well, and I should be able to determine my own behavior. Means I want to define the function in child class with respect to the expectation of the child class. Let us understand that by writing an example over here. So now let us create, for example, a class animal, and a class animal has a function or a method called def make sound, and just provide self, and in this we will be usually saying like maybe print some generic sound. because we don't know what the animal is. Oops. Because we don't know what exactly the animal is as of now. And now let us create another class, maybe dog, which inherits from animal. And we have a method with the same name, make sound, and instead of using the parent's behavior, I will define my own behavior over here, and I write print statement, and we will print maybe oof. And similarly, let us create an other class which inherits from animal itself and name that as cat. And the same method we have in cat as well, but the sound cat makes is meow, like this. And now let us try to create an object for each of these. So when I create a cat 1 equal to cat, and when we create a dog d1 and cat is c1 maybe, so and it is a dog, you can see by calling cat's version of make sound will bring one behavior and dog's version of make sound will bring another behavior. So if you run this by Python polymorphism demo, you can see the cat version brought up the definition from the cat's class make sound, and dog version brought up the oof. So this is how we override the methods which are defined in parent classes. So if you think why exactly method overriding is called a runtime polymorphism in Python means the concept of when the method is resolved, or it is called late binding. So the method called is resolved means what version of method is to be used is done at the runtime based on the actual object type and not on the reference type here, and it is decided during the execution. The interpreter actually selects the appropriate method based on the what instance is being used to call the method. So if it is cat's instance, then it goes to the cat's version. If it is dog's instance, then it goes to the dog's version. And all this is done at the execution time, means runtime, and hence the method overriding in Python is referred as runtime polymorphism. So this is about some introduction of polymorphism and some introduction about method overloading, and we will see that again, and we have seen method overriding. So compile time polymorphism we will see in another video. How can we achieve that concept in Python, and method overriding is directly supported in Python, and we have seen some example for method overriding here. And remember, we can use the concept of polymorphism even with functions, not only the methods inside a class, but even with functions. Without some class, we are allowed, or we can do that, and we will see some examples of that in next video. And remember, whenever you are using polymorphism, you can say like you have another concepts of object oriented programming like encapsulation, right? So polymorphism works well with encapsulation because it actually allows different implementations we have seen to remain hidden behind the common interface, and use method overriding only when you need to change the behavior, but just avoid unnecessary overrides when you think there is a different behavior to be executed in some method in the child class. Only in that case you override, otherwise you are good with the parent version of the methods as well. And let us see more about polymorphism in the next video. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.